So this is the not so glamorous but very important part of budgie breeding, is cleaning up after the breeding season. You will see 18 nest boxes up there. I think there's actually 9 in front and 9 in back. They have been filled with water, scrubbed out, filled with bleach water, left to sit, scrubbed again, and then had the tops open and put out in the sun, full sunlight to dry, because the ultraviolet light from the sun disinfects. And then they have been sprayed with avian insect eliminator to discourage anything that might have survived the bleach, and to keep any new bugs from moving in while the boxes are empty. The taping a 3x5 card on the front of them is a new maneuver on my part. That's to keep the mice out, because we got a lot of mice around here. There's their perches, which have 18 cages worth of perches, which have all been given the same treatment. People say, oh, why do you use those wooden nest boxes? You can't sterilize them. Well, that's just poppycock. Of course you can sterilize them. Bleach sterilizes everything. And the other thing that sterilizes them is not using them for a period of time. These are going to, I won't breed again for more than 3 months. So these are going to sit with nothing in them for 3 months. And that means that any virus or bacteria that was in them that is dependent on a host to live is going to be dead by the time a bird moves into it. This is how Mother Nature keeps wild nests clean. They go unused for 7, 8, 9 months out of the year, and while they're unused, everything in them disintegrates into dust, blows away. Any critters, any parasites in them wither and die because they have no host, etc., etc. So having no inhabitants for a period of time is very helpful. That's also every food dish, every mineral dish, every water dish, every ceramic bowl sterilized in the kitchen sink. So what I am left with is, of course, the cages themselves, which are sitting here waiting to get pulled out and sterilized one at a time. I will pull the, they have clips on them for various things like clipping vegetables or holding dividers and stuff like that. I'll pull all those off, stir them in a bucket of bleach and make sure they're clean and put them away. And they all have mineral blocks in them, which I will also rinse in a cup of bleach and put away. They cost money, so I'm not going to just throw them out, unless they're so small and so chewed up that there's no point. So I have a little bit of work left to do here, but we are looking very clean and tidy. I cleaned off the floor the other day and sprayed it with bug spray, because mites and such live in feather dander. So I had to sweep all of that out. And again, we'll sit. We do have a few inhabitants left in here. This is Kronos with my last set of babies. They are apparently in here.
Hi, little babies. How you doing? Those are my pretty babies. Oh, you're the little skinny. We'll have to go out and eat some food. That's the rules for you. How about you? Oh, he's a pretty baby.
I'm really excited about these 2 dilutes I got here. The whole point of this breeding was to get a dilute chick, and I got 2. And they are gorgeous. This one, if you can see that, is, I think it's a cobalt blue with a yellow face and a dilute. So basically it looks just like Mama, but a dilute instead of a normal. And this one is the same thing. Maybe a violet, I'm not really sure. But they are both gorgeous little birds. I can hardly wait to see them grow up. And then they have their normal green little brother, who's a little anticlimactic but very cute. So they are in and out of the box and ready to, working on their way out. That's the last pair. This is Kitesh and James Bond. James Bond has hurt his leg and he is not healing in any way that I'm expecting. I've just harbored him in here, made sure he had enough calcium. I gave him a 5-day treatment of antibiotics in case he had an infection in there or something, and he's just not. So I think this is one of those things where he broke it or something, and it's just not ever really going to heal, and he's just going to have to adapt to living with it the way it is. And Katesh just was having trouble flying and was very light, so I brought her in to give her a rest, and she got antibiotics in case she had any kind of an infection too. Didn't seem to make any difference for her though. One of her wings seems to be sore, so I'm just letting her rest. They're getting wormed, just like everybody else in the flock right now, since it's the off season, and nobody except Kronos, is on babies. This is the season for me to give them all their parasite treatments. And this is Zoo, whose lady is in here on, I think, 3 eggs. Hi, Missy. I can't really see what I'm showing you, but yeah, that are due to hatch at some point. So anyway, so these guys will be out of here pretty soon, but I'm just going to clean around them. Like I said, I'm treating these guys for worms and such because they're still on eggs, so it's not going to affect the babies. And these two are doing R&R. So this is also, now that I moved and I don't have the big space in the kitchen anymore for a quarantine space, this is now my quarantine area too. Not that these guys are sick in any contagious kind of way, they're just not feeling good. So anyway, that's the rest of my task, is to get this finished and to run the birds through their parasite cleansing over the summer. It was really hot here for the last couple of days, but today it's nice and mild, and everybody seems to be doing pretty well. When I modified these cages and put all that wood around them, I left a space, if you can see that towards the back, I left a space up there as ventilation. So when it gets hot, there's a piece of canvas over it. Obviously there's also wire stapled over it too, so nothing can get in or out. But it's just a space of a couple of inches and the roof in the back. It's covered in the winter with a tarp anyway to keep the rain out, but in the summer I pull it off because it gives them ventilation in the summer. So things are looking pretty good in here. I have some featherless babies. This guy's growing his feathers back. This is post-French molt. He lost all of his flight feathers, but he's growing them back. This little guy, not so much. She grew some short feathers. They were not normally formed though. They were too skinny. This is James Bond's baby and Remington's baby. They were too skinny and they broke off, so that didn't work. Let's see, who else in here had the French molt? Baby gray girl, right here, lost all of her flight feathers and tail and grew them all back very quickly, like very short period of time. Or maybe that's his baby gray girl. There's baby gray girl right there. That's her older sister. So that's baby gray girl. She dropped all of her flights and she's growing them back in rapid. And her brother down here never lost any. This little guy is lost all of his flight feathers. This is, where is he? This is Mars and Athena's baby boy, and as you can see, he is growing feathers back too. What's interesting is they seem to grow, now they lose their primary flight feathers, and they have 10 primary flight feathers on each wing, and they seem to grow back the 7 nearest their body pretty normally, but when they grow back the ones farthest out on the end, they tend to be a little bit thin. You see how that last feather sticking out is not the right size? So it will break off again, but in my experience, they then grow a 3rd feather. So I'm just waiting to see. I'm hearing from from most that I talked to, that the vast majority of these chicks that lost feathers will grow them all back. Let's see. Where's another one? Oh, this little guy lost his flight feathers. Neither of his siblings did. If you can see. He's growing them back too. You see the tips sticking out? And he also lost his tail, and he grew that back already. So they're coming along in here. This is Periwinkle. I got her from another breeder who told me she was plucked. And the more I look at her, the more I realize she has feather mites, and she's chewing up all of her own feathers. So I started treating her. She had her first treatment, and the treatment for feather mites, now there's two different kinds of feather mites. The first kind is regular feather mites that live on the dander of the down and cause them to get a little itchy. But although they bite the bird and irritate the skin, they aren't actually bloodsuckers. So you can't kill them by giving them oral ivermectin. You have to wash the bird in the same ivermectin formula that you make for them to drink for other kind of bites. So she had her first ivermectin bath a few days ago. She'll get one every 6 days for 3 treatments. And then I believe that her breast feathers will grow back in again. They already look better than they did. So she and Mercury both are getting treated for that. This little girl, I clipped some of the feathers on her breast. So that's not feather mites. That's just me doing a bad hack job. And it'll grow back in again. Let's see, who else is in here? I think that's about it in here for medical treatments. Everybody's looking pretty good. So the other cage, these have my oldest babies are in this cage. The other cage, so there's about 10 babies in here. The other cage has about 20 that came in like the second wave. And they are more in their French multi-stage still. Let's go in here and take a peek. Oops. All those little babies down there on the floor for a combination of reasons. Some of them, so they're kind of cycling through. This is the last set of babies I put in. This is Poseidon and Cyan's baby boy. And his baby girl is somewhere. They never lost any feathers, at least not yet. Katesh's oldest baby, who looks just like her, is this one sitting on the little thing. She also never lost any feathers. And neither did this one, who was Apollo and Luna's oldest chick. Her sister lost her tail. I don't know if that was French molt or she was molting a tail or something. But she never lost anything serious. The youngest chick in that nest, the green baby, did lose his, did do the French molt thing. So these guys are in various stages of losing and regrowing feathers. And there's my little hand-fed baby who I think I have a home for. She also lost all of her feathers, and she's growing hers back too. So that's my Texas Clearbodies baby who has one long feather grown back. That is, oh, come on, focus. That is Aphrodite's baby who is growing back one feather at a time. So a part of the challenge is the quality of the feathers that grow back. This is a crested chick, lost all of her feathers, grew some back, lost them all again. They grow back these fragile feathers that are, they're too narrow. You can tell just by looking at them that they're not normal budgie feathers. They're too narrow, and they break very easily, and they end up just falling out again. So I don't know if that's a part of the process of regrowing or what, but they're all doing regrowth at some form or another. So, except for the ones that never lost any feathers in the first place. So yeah, the French mold thing, it sucks, but culling your flock doesn't do any good at all. And I'm just waiting to see who I'll be able to show and who I won't, as far as how well they grow their feathers back or not. So, but I'm hearing from a lot of people that the vast majority of them grow their feathers back and turn out perfectly normal. So that's the update on that.